Hello, good evening and welcome. My name is Nicholas Wynn and I'm here on the RCB Sports Show tonight. I'm on my own tonight. So what I'm going to do is just have a quick look back at the weekend's hurling first of all, and then we'll look forward to the big county final involving Eire Og and Innistown in the football. So a lot to look forward to. I start off with the Junior B final that was held last Sunday at 12 o'clock down in Clarecastle, 6 Mile Bridge against Eire Og, and it was a win, a 6 point win in the end for 6 Mile Bridge, but they didn't get it all their own way. There was a lot of hurling done. The Bridge started off really well and got into a good lead, and it looked like as if they were going to just pull away completely. But back him, Eire Og, and a great Keen Shannon goal put him right back into it. And in the second half, Eire Og were pushing the Bridge all the way. They had a few missed chances, one great save from Keane Fall, and a couple of other chances from Eire Og. But overall, you'd have to say that 6 Mile Bridge were value for this win. They were worthy champions, I believe. And, they had great performances throughout the field. Adam Murray at centre forward, Evan Murphy. David O'Connor was the outstanding man of the match, I believe. Derek Casey, young lad there in corner forward, and Tommy Liddy, and Ocean Breen. They were the chief scorers. Conor Gilligan staying there as well. And their backs, Paul Fitzpatrick, who's their captain, was centre back, and he was outstanding as well. And I suppose for Eire Og, Keen Shannon did really well. Jack Lyons from Freeze. Ian Cairn was the outstanding player for Eire Og at wing forward. He counted for I think 5 points from play. That was a great contribution, and tried. Eire Og gave it everything. Like, they had a great year in the Junior B competition. Most of these two teams, they were lots of them under minor and under 19 players, and mostly under 19 players, with a sprinkling of older lads, and even the older lads weren't that old. A big change from what Junior B used to be like. It was kind of all kind of retired players who would line out for Junior B with a sprinkling of young fellas, but now it's kind of the other way around. But it was a very entertaining game. It absolutely was a great game, and as I said, 6 Mile Bridge were the champions, and they finished their year off nicely, bringing that cup back to 6 Mile Bridge. For Eire Og, it was disappointment, but he can be very proud of Paul Gannon, can be very proud. Joe Ryan, Noel Lyons there with the selectors, and they can be very happy with their year's work. And Charles Chaplin, Brian Corbett, Noel Flannery, Brendan O'Callaghan, and Jerry O'Halloran were the men in charge of 6 Mile Bridge and did an excellent job with them. So that was the Junior B final. So well done to 6 Mile Bridge. And next up, then we headed on Saturday. There was the intermediate final was played in Cusack Park, and this is an eagerly awaited intermediate final. Tulla and St. Joseph's Junior Bearfield met in the final after a hard year, a hard campaign for both of them to get to the final. Both of them having had great aspirations to get back up to senior level. That's the main prize for intermediate, and of course winning the championship as well. I would reckon it's probably the hardest championship of all to win in either football or hurling, and it's a seriously hard competition to win for a hurling team. And it was St. Joseph's who came out on top in the end on a scoreline of I think it was 113 to 18 points in the end. It's a game that went extra time. It was level after full time. And it was a game that sort of ebbed and flowed, but it never reached the pitch that we were hoping it would reach. I suppose, there was a lot of, there was a good few wides, and, just the hurling wasn't outstanding. But St. Joseph's won't care about that for certain anyway. But it was a game Tulla were really in that first half, and they really worked a great goal from Niall Bolton. He first timed it on the ground, something you rarely see now in hurling. It was a great goal. It was passed into him by Sean Whittingham, and finished to the net in great style. And you think then that Tulla really had the bit between their teeth after getting that goal, that was going to be really put them into the ascendancy. But instead, St. Joseph's showed their mettle and they came back up the field and they had two great 2 points. So we almost wiped out the goal within a few minutes. And Tulla didn't really push on. I think at half time it was 6 points to 7 in favour of Tulla. And I think Tulla would have hoped to have got in with a bit more, given that they had a huge amount of possession. And in the second half, both teams went at it, and at the end of normal time, it swayed but one way and swayed the other way, and it was nail biting, and it ended in a draw, 115 for Tulla, 112 for Tulla, 15 points for Dora Bearfield, and the dreaded extra time then. And I hate extra time because I think extra time always takes on a life of its own. It doesn't reflect the game really, and teams are tired and they've just put in 60 minutes of really hard work, and then they're asked to take a couple of minutes, a 5-minute break, and go back out and do it again. So, with the split season, I can't see why there can't be replays. There was a lot of time after the championship ended when the split season started, and there was nothing played. And they're suddenly trying to get games finished now at this time of the year, instead of starting a little bit earlier and giving time for replays. I think okay, go take some time in a replay, but not especially in a final. I think it deserves a replay. I think both of them deserved a shot at it again. But anyway, it went to that extra time, and St. Joseph's took over, and as I said, they ran out winners. They were certainly the better team in extra time. For St. Joseph's, David Conroy was the outstanding player on the pitch. He was just unbelievable. He scored 7 points from play, and he scored about 5 or 6 more from frees. He was unerring, and he was the one to come up with the equalising score. Tulla were ahead, and they came up with a brilliant equalising score. And I think he was probably one of the few people on the pitch that could have scored that equalising score. He's an outstanding hurler, has been under 21 for Clare, great hurler for St. Joseph's. He's a wholehearted, no-nonsense player. He just gets in there and does his stuff. So, David Conroy was my man of the match anyway. Cian Byrne was very good in the corner, and they had players throughout the pitch, obviously, and Alan O'Neill played a huge part in that win as well. I think when the chips were down, Alan O'Neill was involved. He won a free, scored a point, and he got he was the supplier when he moved up in the forwards. There, he supplied ball, especially in the towards the end of normal time and in extra time. He was immense, and he's been around a while now, Alan. He's not that old, but he's been playing for such a long time for St. Joseph's, a former player on the 21, and the wily head, and he knew exactly what to do. And when he was needed, he was back in the backs again, like to see out the game. And they had another guy there, Jarlath Collins, came on at half time. He was injured, Jarlath Collins, but he came on. He was immense, and he scored a superb point near the end of normal time. It was absolutely a stunning point from 80, 90 yards. I suspect by Saturday night it was probably 120 or 30 yards, but a great contribution from Jarlath as well. And they had great players throughout the field, and they fully deserved their win. I suppose it would have went to extra time, and I would say they probably shaded it throughout as well. Tulla will be a little bit disappointed, that they didn't see the game out maybe in normal time, that they didn't respond when they got the goal, that they didn't get a second goal. But that's the way it goes. Like, they had a real live wire in Conor Murphy. He was winning a lot of ball, and I think he was taken off actually. And I thought, I was a bit surprised at that, and I think he went back on again. Niall Bolton got a goal and a point. Great, tall, very strong, full forward. Sean Whitcomb was deadly active from frees. He made that goal for Niall Bolton as well, and David McInerney was scored a point as well, and put in a lot of work, like Dara Corrie, as you'd expect, a couple of points from him as well. But I think Tulla obviously very disappointed that they didn't that they didn't get back up to senior, like, so they'll have to go back and do it all again next year, which isn't an easy task because they're strong teams. If Whitegate gone down now, Whitegate were relegated, and they're going to be a very seriously strong team down in intermediate. So it's a very hard place to get out of. St. Joseph's, Stuart Bearfield will be absolutely thrilled to have got out on top in that game, got back up to senior. It doesn't seem a hell of a long time ago since they were winning Munster and All Ireland titles. So, I suppose the old adage, make hay while you can, and St. Joseph's did that, but they're back up there again now at senior, and they'll be thrilled. They'll be absolutely thrilled that they saw it out, and that they put in a winning performance. So the best of luck to them, and commiserations to Tulla. And then on Sunday, again, the big match we were waiting for a long time, Ballyea against Eire Og. It was billed as being, going to be a great match. I wouldn't say it was a great match, but what I would say, it was very entertaining. It was very entertaining throughout. It kept you engaged. There were some great scores. There were some, of course, you were watching guys like Tony Kelly, you were watching guys like Shane O'Donnell, David Reedy, Jack Brown, Paul Flanagan, and you expect a quality game. So and it was, in fairness, it was a very enjoyable game as a neutral up on the stand. Really enjoyed it. Coming down the home straight at Ballyea, it was a replica almost of last year when Eire Kilnamona were leading Ballyea by 3 points with maybe as many minutes to go, 4 or 5 minutes to go, 6 minutes to go, whatever it was. And Ballyea came back and Martin O'Leary and Cathal O'Connell did the damage last year, and they came off the bench again and did the same thing this year. So that's, it was telling, Eire Og will be wondering the same as Eire Kilnamona, how they let a 3-point lead slip in 29 minutes. I think they were 3 points up. And somehow they didn't get that point that they needed. They badly needed one more point. They needed to go 4 up. And as long as they didn't go 4 up, Ballyea knew that they could catch them and overhaul them, and that's exactly what they did. And the credit will go to the forwards, but for Ballyea, you have to give great credit to Brendan O'Connell, Peter Casey, Paul Flanagan, Gerard O'Connell, Jack Brown, and James Murphy. They were immense. They didn't let Eire Og score, especially in that period of play, where it was vital, because as I said, that 1 point would have swung it for Eire Og, but they just couldn't find it. And I suppose Shane O'Donnell came the nearest to getting that score when he broke through, and you would have backed him to put your house on him scoring that point. But into Tony Kelly, and he got the hook in and prevented that point. And to me, that was doing the game, because the ball was cleared down the far wing. And how Cathal O'Connell got the room, I don't know. But as he said himself, he just opened the shoulders. He let fly from way out the field, out in the far wing, far side of the field, and sent it between the post. And that rallied. That was the real, that made a draw of it. But you could sense then that Ballyea were going to push and try. You were hoping that the game was going to end in a draw. As a neutral, you would be hoping that, because you wanted to see a little bit more of this final, and it had really heated up at that stage. But then Inter Niall Deasy, and Niall had a goal scored. He was great. He was man of the match. He was given the man of the match award, and I wouldn't have argued against that either. Got a great goal, and he won a ball in front of the goals, and he was deemed to have been fouled, and Gerald Donlan deemed that he was fouled. There was a question mark over it, but he won the free, and he took it himself, of course, and that was the winning score. There was a good bit of time added on, then 2 minutes overtime. So whether, I don't know, but that time was added on, and in that time, Eire Og got free. They won a free in the far side, but it was right on the sideline. A very hard free kick. Danny Russell had scored. I think he had scored 9 or 10 points. I think 9 points he had scored from frees, and you're expecting him to stand over it. An instruction came in that was David Reedy to take it, and fierce pressure on David Reedy, taking his first free, a really hard free to take. The post would have been very narrow that he was aiming at. The angle would have been very narrow, and it just went narrowly wide. And of course, everybody is blaming management and blaming this and that for the, for not letting Denny take it. Like I would have had Denny taking it all day, but it just goes to show that management are just human too, and they did what they thought was the right thing, and they thought that David Reedy, very experienced player, very good free taker, was the man to take it, and that's what they thought. But it didn't come off. If it had come off, it would have been seen as probably a masterstroke. So it's very hard to win, like, and I wouldn't be blaming Matt Shannon or any of the lads for that. They made the call, they were brave enough to make the call, it just did not come off. And unfortunately for Eire Og, that was game, set and match. There was no more time left, they were completely out of time. And Ballyea went on to lift the cup, and I think probably deservedly so, because any team that's 3 points down, the game is over. Most teams would have probably folded their tent and say, look, that's it. We won it last year, that's it. But these guys don't know when they're beaten, and they put in, and the last 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes, whatever it was, it's just extraordinary that they could hold out a strong team like Eire Og with the likes of Shane O'Donnell, Danny Russell, David Reedy up there in the forwards, like, and they just couldn't get the winning point, I suppose, that they needed. So, it was great performances throughout the field. Aaron Griffin, the first half, he got an electrifying goal. Like, he got a goal, got a ball, rounds these men, and headed for goal and lashed it to the back of the net. It was a great goal. It's not easy to do that, round your men, and in a county final, not panic, know what to do, and have the ability and the skill to do it. And that's what Alan Griffin did. He followed that up with a point as well. So he kept, I suppose, Eire Og came into the game then, and they were in the ascendancy, like, and they would have been a bit disappointed maybe they didn't win. I think it was 169 points at half time, so they would have been a bit disappointed that they didn't quite that they didn't win, maybe slightly more up, because they had a lot of play. And the second half then was pretty fairly even as well, all the way right through up to the end of the game, and then we went into extra time. Niall DC had that goal in the game, so that kind of rattled Eire Og. But in fairness, Eire Og, they responded to that goal and responded really well and took over and went to 3 points ahead. And you're thinking, like, David Reedy got the goal for them. It wasn't a brilliant goal, but he was there and he got the goal. One stuck in the mud for Eire Og in the first half. It didn't go over the line. It just got stuck in the mud as well. So a little bit unfortunate there. But they were playing really well, Eire Og. Kieran Russell, Alan Fitzgerald was having a great game. Niall McMahon, Gerald Collins, Liam Curry, the captain, Oran Cahill, great wing back, playing really well. Cian O'Dea was keeping tabs on Tony Kelly, and I thought he did a really good job, because everybody knows it's a hard job to match Tony Kelly. But I thought Cian O'Dea really has, in his hurling, seemed to have improved as well as he got to the final, and I thought he had a really good game. Michael Maloney tried really hard, so did David McNamara. They probably wanted a little more from a couple of more forwards on the day. This would be my take on it anyway. Darren O'Brien scored 2 great points as well, and Danny Russell did really well, like, and he was really on his game in regard to the frees. But that's a debate, like, it's, you can't really have, I think, at this stage. But Eire Og would be gutted. They were gutted after the game. Obviously, they had the chance to make a draw, but they had the chance to win it, 3 points up. It's a fine line between winning and losing. I think Kilmona had the same feeling leaving the Cusick Park. They had almost to replicate. They got a free at the end as well, and they made a pretty bad job of it, and the chance was gone. So it's not easy. Ballyea are proven that they're great champions. They won the championship back in 2016, and they have 3 of them won since. That's fair going. You have to 4 of them won since, and you have to give credit to them. They're just a very strong team. They're very hard to beat. They have great belief in themselves. They do the simple things and they do them well, and they have a panel of players as well. They have win to bring off the line, and when Martin O'Leary came on, he scored a very valuable point, and Carl O'Connor scored two. I think he scored 2 points. So a huge contribution off the bench as well. It'll have to be said. And Killian Brennan came into the fray there as well as Ballyea are now champions. They'll be heading down to, I think, well, actually heading back to Cusack Park. I think it'll be in Cusack Park anyway. They're playing St. Fimbres of Cork, and you give them a great chance because they have a great team. Like they have the big names, and they have the big hurling players. Paul Flanagan, as I said, Jack Brown, Tony Kelly, and then the guys, the footballers, Pierce Dennis, Martin O'Leary, those guys, fantastic players. Like, and they can. Cahill O'Connell pick up a hurley 2 years ago, and he comes on and wins two. Well, won him on his own, but he got 2 serious points in both county finals. That says a lot about the man that he is. His ability, his self-belief. He might have looked for somebody else there last Sunday to when that ball broke out to him out in the wing, but instead he said, "No, I'm taking it on," and he took it on and straight over the bar. And kind of the writing was on the wall. Then I think. And Ballyea were able to. They knew then they had it, and they got that. LDC won that free, and it was kind of game set and matched in, even though Eire Og did have a slight chance. But a great credit to Ballyea. They're great county champions. They're a crop of players like who just came along, a once in a lifetime crop, or once in a generation, whatever you want to say. They've stuck together. When they won that first championship, and they really had the Supers 2017 when they won the Munster Championship, Club Championship, which is a great honour, and they went all the way to the All Ireland, and met a very strong team in the All Ireland final. But they're, as I said, they're such a great crop of players. They have 4 titles. They're really making hay with what they have. They're taking advantage. There's other teams in this county who were equally as good, but they didn't do what Ballyea did, and that's win these titles. They've won. There's teams who have won one maybe, and have kind of not produced what they might have produced. But that's it. From a hurling point of view, that's the end of the hurling year. The under 21, the under 20s, what it is now, is still to be played out as well. So it's a bit late in the year to start the under 21. I don't understand why it's so late. Especially, I don't know, there's probably reasons, but, heading into bad weather now and a lot of rain, it's a pity that it couldn't have been played off a little bit sooner. But that's all we've left in the hurling calendar now. Of course, we'll be off on by the year in the club championship, and looking forward to that really. Like, I think it's only about 2 weeks time, I think. So it's best to look to Ballyea, hard look for Eire Og. It was really hard way to lose a game, but that's how the cookie crumbles, as they say. And then, of course, there's we'll leave it there for the hurling anyway. The big football final in its time and play Eire Og in a really anticipated county final, unique county final in its time and playing Eire Og. They haven't met that often. I think they met in the quarter final there a couple of years ago, and that was a very low score and a very tight affair. I think it was 4 to 5 points, something like that. And it's a lowest affair. In its time, we back in the final after 4 years. They were in the final 4 years ago, but they didn't get over the line that day. But they're back for more, and a kind of a no-look team almost in the last 4 years they have brought on. The likes of Brindy Ruane now, and Killian Ruane are very young players. Under 21 players, and Brindy Ruane is only 19 years of age. Like, he's playing like a veteran, and his brother is centre halfback. Ciaran McMahon is another young man. There, who was immense the last day against Kilmurray Bricken. If you look at in his time in Kilmurray Bricken, it wasn't an electrifying game. It went all the way to the wire. It looked like Kilmurray Bricken had the game won coming down the home straight, but somehow in his time we managed to get up the field. Ciaran McMahon made a brilliant run up the field, and he got the ball into David Fitzgerald, and David Fitzgerald in turn got the ball across the goals, and Ciaran McMahon was there at the end of it again, and he and sent it to the net, and sent the game into extra time. And sent the game into and the game didn't win in a draw again, and it went to penalties. And at the end of the penalties, it was Finalist Diamond who had even though they went 2-3-1 down in that penalty shootout, they showed great character to to do the business. Ryan Barry stepped up there and he scored the penalty. He's a young man. He scored it like a veteran soccer player, straight into the corner of the net. Lovely placed ball, So in his time, when they have to beat Kilmurray at Brecon was some doing, especially to beat them when they had a game, when Kilmurray seemed that they had the game won. It showed great character, and for in his time to come back and do what they did. And I suppose I'd have to say in his time, and I think they've beaten Kilmurray and Brecon in the last four or the last 5 meetings. I think they've beaten them. So that's they seem to have the Indian sign over Kilmurray and Brecon. And Kilmurray and Brecon, they're very disappointed. They probably had a claim for a penalty, but it's on the field, and full credit in his time. And I think over the balance of the 80 minutes that was played in his time were the better team, I think. And I think most football people would probably agree with that assumption. So that's how in his time we got to the final. Eire Og had it much easier. They had it much easier against Corofin. I felt Corofin were a small bit naive. They had played a brilliant game, a brilliant quarter-final match. They played pure football against Lissy Casey. They got him into the semi-final. You must remember the Corofin were coming up from intermediate. They only won the intermediate last year. They won it in the last few minutes against Kildysart last year. And normally a team coming up from intermediate, you would be expecting the best that they could do was hang in there and just stay up senior for a few years to try and get into senior. But these guys didn't. They blazed the trail all the way to the semi-final. But I thought they were a small little bit naive in that they really tried to play the football again, if you know what I mean. Which Eire Og were county champions. Like, you had to be a bit tighter. You had to do a few more things than just try and play football with Eire Og, because you go playing football with Eire Og, they'll beat you. Like, they're a great team, So in the end, it was, I think it was 111. 3 points was the final score. Corofin didn't really get off the blocks, and Eire Og just reeled them in. I suppose it would be the way to put it, without accepting this as too much. And Gavin Cooney was the outstanding player there, a goal, and I think 5 points. Mark McInerney, Philip Talty, Darren O'Neill, they were all the scorers in that game. Niall McMahon got a point as well. So there's a few lads there for Eire Og heading into this final who would have been playing last Sunday. Aaron Fitzgerald is one of them. Kieran Russell is another. David McNamara, Niall McMahon, Gavin Cooney. So how are they going to respond from last Sunday's defeat, which was heartbreaking for them, and just having a week? It's very, I think that, they really should have got another week maybe, but that's how the fixtures have come. Like, but it'd be hard for them to pick themselves up, I think, and dust themselves off and go back to a county final. I suppose it can go either way. They either, won't be able to get back up, or they'll say, to hell with this, no, we're going all out for this. We're not going to end our year with nothing being in 2 county finals. So, the way I see it, Eire Og are hot favourites. Eire Og are a great team. They're a great football team, and they've proven that to be back in the final again this year. They were knocking on the door before that for a while too, before they got to the final. They won the final last year, and deserved winners, and they come again back into the county final. They timed their run really well. I think their football improved as the year went on, and they're back in the final now. And as I said, they're hot favourites. But Innis Diamond had been living on, I suppose, they've won every game that they've played by a minimum of they've won by a point. They've got over the line. They had that that fantastic battle with Kilmurray at Brick, and they got over the line in penalties. So there's something about Innistymen. You would have to say that that's great resilience from Innistymen. And, the likes of Noel Sexton and Wards, they're, making those saves for the penalties. Tiernan Hogan, those lads, Liam Carter, they're all well able to play. Like, it'll be a bit confusing because they have a David McNamara centre field as well, David Fitzgerald. Unfortunately for Innistymen, they have injuries, and Kevin Harv was the latest one, and Kevin was having a great, fantastic year. He was coming off the bench, he was full of running, he was the one to carry the ball for Innistymen. He did it time and time again. He was well able to connect with his cousin David Fitzgerald in games, especially in the Dunbeg game, where he came on and he almost changed it. He did so well in the change in the game and got David into the game. He's going to be a huge loss, I feel, for Innistymen. But then somebody else has to, the likes of Lawrence Healy, whoever, has to step up, and Ryan Barry, another great lad to bring on as well. So they have a few lads there on the bench, that they have a good bench, and they have plenty of players, and they'll need Sean O'Driscoll, another one who's injured as well, and won't make it, and Cahill Malone, huge loss. Cahill Malone is a powerful player, great footballer, and unfortunately he's missed the last game, and looks like he's going to miss the county final. I'd be surprised if he makes it. I hope he makes it, for Innistymen. But, that's a lot of injuries and a lot of guys missing. But that's Innistymen are just saying, well, that's the way it is. So we go with what we have. But Innistymen will play it very tight, I think, and they would keep tabs as much as they can on Eire Og. I think they'll really play it tight and try and play. They play a little bit like Eire Og, where they win the ball at the back and they try and break pretty quickly. Then they try and get David Fitzgerald breaking up the field, try and get Killian Rowan breaking up the field. They have players. Kieran McMahon can break up. He did twice against Kilmurray Brick and did a lot of damage. He can, and that's the way they play it. And if they can take their chances, Sean Rindon, another lively corner forward. Sean Rowan, he's around a long time. A very experienced player as well. So they certainly have the forwards to Dermot Fahey, Owen Rowan, Josh Kyler. These lads, if they can they're going in the same they're going to Cusack Park on Sunday with absolutely nothing to lose, and they have nothing to lose, so they can afford to throw the kitchen sink at it, and I think that's what they will do. They'll throw everything at this game. They don't get that many chances. I met a man in Innistymen yesterday. He's an Innistymen man, but he taught me, I think it was his uncle, or not sure about the relation. Was on the last team from North Clare. That is the only team of the last time a team from north of Milton Malbay to win a county championship was in 1950, and that was Kilfenora. And Jack Lynch, actually, in Aina, he's a Kilfenora man living in Aina for many years in the post office as a member of that team as well. So there's a bit of history to be made for Innistymen. If they can close that gap. It's a long time ago, since this is 72 years ago, since the cup went to North Clare. So they would love to be the team to do that and bring it up to Innistymen. Eire Og will certainly won't want to be beaten in 2 county finals in the space of a week. So that would probably drive them on. They want to have something to show for their hard work. They have a great manager in Paul Madden, very shrewd operator, knows his football. I think he's a man that knows his players, and he seems to be able to make, with the lads he's with him, Shawnee Buckley, great Limerick footballer in his day, with him there as coach as well, Peter Cosgrove, Shane Dallins, Victor O'Riordan is there in the backroom as well, and in the backroom team, Tom Russell and Rory O'Brien, two great lads as well. So they won't be forwards, and from a management point of view, they've given them every chance You know, they've worked well with the hurling management as well, and they've worked together to get these two teams into two county finals. As I said, it's a big, huge one for a lot of those players, for every player really from Eire Og to try and bounce back from last Sunday. They haven't much time, you know, and it depends on how they react. You'd have to say that Eire Og are, you know, they are really hot favourites. I think I would say. But a team coming in from Innis Diamond with absolutely nothing to lose and with great talent. You know, there's absolutely great talent in that Innis Diamond team. You don't get that county final, obviously, without that talent. And I think we're in for a cracker. And I'm really looking forward to that match. Really looking forward to it. There's great excitement. I've been up in Innis Diamond in a few days there this week on a bit of business and whatever. And it's great to see the black and white flags out. They're out in Aina as well, the village of Aina, of course, with Sean Wynn there. His father, John, is a publican. Marina Clancy has the flags out as well down the good house. So all the way up along this, all in the diamond is decked out in black and white. But of course, if you go into Innis is decked out as well, and you look at the shop windows and all that. It's lovely to see it, and it's a great build up, and really looking forward to it. Big day, and hopefully the weather, it was good to us last weekend. Hopefully it'll be as good to us again this weekend. And you know, the county board, I'll have to say, well done to the county board. You know, it was grand. It's great to see the Clarecastle team, the 1997 Clarecastle team, going out on. We remember them all as hurlers, the great hurlers. You know, and it was great to see them there, all there. Some of them came home from England and from different parts of the country for the occasion. It was lovely to see them going out onto the pitch there and being remembered, and it was fantastic to see the Clare All Ireland winning minor team of 1997 going out onto the pitch. You know, it was a real privilege to see those lads again. It doesn't seem like 25 years ago since those lads went up to Croke Park, and that unforgettable day, you know, the most memorable of all Clare days, one of the most memorable anyway, when we won the senior by beating Tipperary for the second time that year, and by beating Galway, our near neighbours and good friends in the minor final. So it was great. Well done to the county board for that, and to honour those lads. And it gave it a great sense of occasion last Sunday as well, to see the likes of Anthony Daly, the Sparrow, Loughlin, Fergie Toohey, you know, how many more great Clarecastle players, you know, coming on, and then to see the minors, lads that you when you saw the names, you remember them straight away, because they went on, those minors went on, some went on to play for Clare, some of them went on, they had great careers with their clubs and won championships with their clubs as well. So that was absolutely brilliant as well. So I'm looking forward to the county final. Sorry I didn't have anyone here with me tonight. It's kind of I ran out of time this week, and I didn't get a chance to get on to Seamus or any of the lads. So that's it for another week. Well, I'll get the lads on next week, and we might have a look back at the year in the hurling and the football, and you know, roll on Sunday is all I can say. And the best of luck to both Innis Diamond and to Eire Og in the county final. And I suppose, as they say, may the best man win. That's it from me, Nicholas Flynn from the RCB radio show. So we'll leave it at that. Take care. God bless.